What's up, team? Today I'd like to share with you guys the hand that fucked me out of $60,000. This last weekend we were playing a tournament at the Gardens Casino. It was a 1.1k buy-in with a 200k guarantee. We had 388 players. That means the prize pool exceeded 200k to 388k, making first place 82,000 smackaroony. We had a really good time playing the first day. We actually ran into quads for our first bullet, so then we decided to rebuy. We ran up a pretty good stack. That stack ended up being second going into day two out of both flights, so that was pretty cool stuff. On day two we were playing against a lot of pretty good players when we ended up making the final table. Now the final table consisted of a very eclectic group of people, one of which was Jared. Jared's a really good player. This guy's a machine man. He has like $4 million in tournament earnings, plays high stakes poker. Luckily, this guy came in as one of the short stacks. However, when we were down to 6 players, Jared found the double. And inside of me, I was happy for him because he's a really nice guy. But as a competitor in the table playing for $82,000, I immediately yelled, "Fuck, this is not the guy that I wanted to double. This guy does everything better than me. He plays short stack better than me. He plays deep stack better than me. His betting's a lot more precise. His intuition's better than me. And I'm sure his cardio is better, so that means his endurance is better. Definitely not the guy that I wanted to double. I've had some experience playing with Jared in the past, as him and I both final tabled the 2.2k high roller at the bike earlier this year, which he ended up taking down. In that tournament, I got to see how he maneuvered his big stack. In this tournament, I got to see how he played a short stack. I always try to learn a little bit from people that I see doing things that are better than me, and so it was a treat seeing him play, but definitely did not want him to double through. Nothing against you, Jared, if you see this. It's just you're by far the best player on the table, and I wasn't too thrilled about you doubling there. But once I got knocked out, I was rooting for you, man. And unfortunately, you got third. But you can't be too sad about those $40,000 that came along with them. So when we're down to 5-handed, one of the guys that had the chip lead almost the entire second day ended up losing his chip lead through 3 hands back to back to back. He played 2 of those hands with me, one of which I defended my big blind with Jack 6. We got his fucking ace 10 out of there. I don't think he was very happy because the very next hand, he ended up effing me out of 60 G's. So I have the small blind, he has a big blind. I have about 37 big blinds at this point. He has about 25 big blinds. We had Jared and another guy roughly around 20 big blinds, and then we had a short stack with around 11 big blinds. It folded to me and my small blind, and I looked down at a beautiful ace jack of hearts, so I decided to raise that hand. Villain decides to defend his big blind. Now the flop came King 7-3, King of Diamonds, 7 of Clubs, 3 of Clubs. And while a lot of people would say, "Hey man, you should check here," or whatever, it's not how I roll. I felt like we had some ICM pressure that we can apply here. I felt like I have to have some bluffs. I felt like Ace Jack of Hearts was a good candidate to be bluffing. I'd probably be checking back hands that I would raise pre-flop, such as 10-9 of Diamonds, Ace 2 of Hearts, but Ace Jack, I said, fuck it. Let's take it to the motherfucking street. Some people like to bet small. Maybe this is a mistake that I make, but I'm one of them yellow guys, so I decided to do 2/3 here. And to my surprise, he called. Now him and I have history. In this same day, we played a hand where he opens King Jack of Diamonds and I defend like Ace 8 of Spades, I think it was. He flopped top pair with a flush draw. I checked and he checked it back. I turned an ace. I check, he checks. River is a blank. I value bet and he calls and he showed his hand. So when I bet, he definitely can have King X clubs here. He can have regular flush draws. He can have some straight draws. I think he can always have some sets, although I think he might be raising something that's strong. I don't think he has ace king. He could be maybe king queenish, that kind of stuff. He can definitely have overpairs to the 7. He can have a 7. This man's a wild man. At the final table, I saw him put in a 4-bet with on a 5-5-3 board with 2 diamonds with the flush draw. So this dude's capable of kind of everything. So when he flats, I feel like I'm kind of ahead of his range. The turn puts a beautiful ace of spades, and I say, all right, let's take it to the motherfucking streets. Let's do this shit. And at this point, it's the showdown at Al Corral. He looks at me, I look at him, he looks at me back, I look at the board, I pause, I throw in the little 10 bank in there to try to think, and I say, fuck it, we're going with the overbet. Bet 125%. He calls pretty quickly. I was a little surprised. At this point, SPR is 0.5, 0.5, 0.6, something around that. When what I thought was a blank 5 hits the river, I shove and this guy snaps me off. And when this guy snaps me off, I say, okay, well, let's see what he has. I flip over ace jack of hearts, and this motherfucker decides to flip over 5-7 for a river 2 pair. I'm down to 11 big blinds. A couple overs later, I get it in with ace 9 versus pocket queens. I don't hold. I cash out. By the time I get home, the short stack with 11 bigs is out. Jared is out in 3rd place or 40K. Congratulations, bro. And these guys decide to chop heads up. And because they didn't play any hands, the man takes his trophy picture and guess what he holds? 7-5 off. Ain't that some shit?